Hello, friends and beautiful people. It is Kathryn Elevated Consciousness Coach, 5D Visionary Conscious Creatrix. Hello and welcome to this energy forecast. But usually I do a weekly energy check-in, but this is actually going to be for this week of November 4th, 2019. I'm going to be talking about the next 2 months of this calendar year that's going to be closing out the year of 2019 and what's going on. I wanted to do a little deeper forecast for you guys to kind of give you, let's just say, some validation for what you're already feeling. Many of you are already feeling what I'm going to be talking about. And also a way to kind of reconcile yourself with where you're at, where you're going, and also to know other people are in the same boat, maybe even having a harder time stretching their, let's just say, current level of consciousness to be able to encompass what's happening in a way where they can have even some small degree of comfort with what's going on. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, because there's room for us to be a lot more compassionate with others at this time, especially within the next 2 months of the year. So if you like content like this, if you like talks about all things ascension, spiritual awakening, 5D awakening, 5D elevated consciousness, then you'll want to hit the subscribe button that is in the lower right hand corner of the screen if you're watching this on my YouTube channel. And go ahead and subscribe and get lots of content like this, and especially the weekly energy check-in every week. So, as I often do when I do these energy reports, I kind of energetically put my finger on the pulse of what's going on in the ethers, in the realm of the ethereal, in a couple different dimensions at once. Usually I have, let's just say, friends and a spiritual team that help me to be guided through different levels of awareness that go from 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes up till ninth dimension. This week I went a little bit further, a little bit deeper into 10th and 11th dimensional reality, and it was very, very interesting. But what it did is it gave me a bigger snapshot of what was going on. So I thought, well, since I'm being gifted with this glimpse of such a large container, this container of transformation that I was, let's just say, engaged with, I thought, why not bring in the larger message that has more of a trickle-down effect over just the next, not just this week, but over the next 2 months, and this energy that's really helping us close out this calendar year of 2019. So the next 2 months and the close of this calendar year is really about listening. It's about deep listening and surrender. 2020 is going to be a major pivot year for many of you, an identity shift of perhaps colossal proportions for some of you may be in store. And if that's the case, there is an excellent chance that you're already feeling this big time, okay? To access your highest timeline, the most desirable destiny that you are asking for, that you are actually already actively leaning into. You're thinking about it, you're feeling it, you're envisioning it, you're holding space, maybe you're clearing, decluttering, releasing at a pretty accelerated rate so you can make room for what's coming. So you are making room, you're orchestrating this desirable destiny for yourself right now. You're in the process of becoming that which you are asking for. And we really are, in terms of the ethereal imprint of who we are already that which we are asking to become. But it's about aligning in vibration and frequency to that version of self. But many of you who are orchestrating this destiny for yourself right now, I'm asking, the universe is asking, that you keep returning to the guidance of your inner voice for deep listening and surrendering. Make it your new normal. Make it like a reflex for you to start creating the space to hold this energy for your inner voice to have its say with, let's just say, a greater frequency than you ever have before. Because we are reconciling with a lot of old paradigms, a lot of old belief systems that have been kept alive by a lot of survival mode consciousness, a lot of ego constructs, and a lot of that is falling away. It's not that we are losing our ego, but the stronghold, let's just say, that the ego has had on our reality up till now is really loosening its grip and leaving a lot more room for your intuitive nature, your higher self, to get back into the driver's seat where it's meant to be and start giving you, well, let's just say, position itself in a place where you can hear it better without all of the noise of your ego trying to have its say at the same time about how things should be or how things are, based on belief systems that, quite frankly, are really dying out, and everything's shifting, everything's changing. And this is creating a major identity shift for many of us. You could even say identity crisis. So make it your new normal to have this kind of be a natural reflex where you keep creating a bigger space, a bigger frequency to hold this energy for your inner wisdom, your intuitive voice to have it say, and have it be this vow that you have with yourself that you will listen and surrender to this voice more, because it will cause a lot less friction in your field of awareness. What's happening in the world around us right now and continuing through the next 2 months, especially in the beginning of 2020 as well, it's really this kind of major detox from a hangover of intense imbalances of power, mayhem, chaos, confusion. This is really coming to a head with a lot of different culminating timelines on a global scale finally being collapsed, finally being closed out, finally dissolving. Okay, people's wounds, people's dramas, people's fears are going to be dropping almost like a blanket bombing all around you, creating this kind of cascade of emotional shrapnel all around you, in and around your field. They're going to be people that are strangers. They're going to be people that you know, people that you love. It's going to be family members. It's going to be coworkers. No one is immune from this massive identity shift that's taking place on a global scale. You are being reminded from me and from Source to resist the urge to get swept up in these dramas. You're going to be dealing with your own stuff. So it's going to only be compounded if you are allowing yourself to get swept up by hurt and ego and thinking that any of this stuff that's happening with other people, as their belief systems fall apart, their paradigms of belief and thought forms fall apart, you're going to be very uncomfortable if you're swept up in the hurt and ego, if you're thinking that any of this that's happening outside of you is directed at you or it's even about you. It isn't. It's just the purge. It's the detox from this massive hangover we're experiencing of a lot of collapsing timelines taking place on a global scale. There's just a huge fallout that's happening. So redirecting often to that inner voice, to that inner wisdom, and being able to hold while you are connected at that level of self, holding that space of love and compassion for others, and keep centering your energy around your inner voice so that you can receive the guidance to help you know how to better respond rather than react to these things that are happening around you, the things that are kind of imploding like blanket bombs, exploding like blanket bombs all around you in your external environment. Many people don't have a way to articulate or make sense or put a finger on what it is that's really going on for them, what's happening to them as they awaken out of this very long-term slumber, this kind of somnambulistic state of being in survival mode consciousness where they've known a lifetime, perhaps lifetimes plural, of self-limitation and self-negation. Awakening is really messy. And you, dear listener, are probably a little further along in your awakening process than a lot of people on the planet. Like I said, no one is immune, but everyone is at a different spectrum of experience with this stuff. So someone like you may be very adept at kind of knowing how to work with shadow, how to look at these things that are coming up from deep in the trenches of your unconscious and coming up to the surface and saying, this is the shadow, another level of what I've been working on over the last couple of years. Many people do not operate at that level of awareness. So the confusion, the chaos, the craziness is to the nth degree. It is really those of us who are here as way showers, those of us who are here as thought leaders, those of us who are on that first wave of ascension. It must be us that we're holding the stronger frequency of love and compassion and holding that container for others to awaken in a way that can be comfortable or at least a little less messy. This level of awareness of, where our consciousness is being awakened, where we're moving into a place of enlightenment, and people who are new to all of this, it's really messy for them. It's really messy for all of us, but even messier for those who don't have a way to articulate what's going on. But our consciousness cannot ascend without this level of awakening, without the falling away, without the opting out of what used to be. And we cannot fully access higher spiritual mysteries without first investigating what's going on at these lower realms, excavating the catacombs of our own unconscious that exists in the lower realms of awareness. Okay, and this lower level of awareness is busting wide open for many right now. Deep unconscious fears, beliefs, all that kind of stuff. And we're reaching the limits of our lower creation level of being. And that's really our gateway to moving up into 5D and dimensions of awareness beyond that. So much pent-up energy is reaching critical mass, and it's looking for a way out. As we reach this critical mass, we reach this limit. It's like, it's like all of this heat. It's like coal when it's being pressurized into turning into a diamond. That's a good way to think about our awakening process. As we have more and more pressure of these higher light codes and frequencies coming to the planet and kind of pushing out what needs to go and condensing or compressing what is staying. It is almost like we are bursting through into diamond light. But that alchemy of moving into that place has to happen first. That experience of falling away, of collapsing old paradigms, collapsing old belief systems, thought forms. It's messy, it's ugly, purging a lot of emotions that have been a driving force in our lives for a very long time. There is massive upheaval happening around this. All this pent-up energy is reaching this critical mass and looking for a way out. So it's just kind of feel like these explosions everywhere. But there's also, at the same time, with all this happening, there is a reorganization of energy and power, individually and collectively, that will be felt on the planet. Refinement of clarity and purpose. And this isn't just happening by default. It's also an invitation for you by the universe to get even more clear about what you desire to do. That destiny you are desiring, that destiny you are asking for, make that even more clear. Refine it to such a crystallized essence so that it is so clear within mind, body, and soul what you are asking for, so that you can see and validate yourself on this path of who you are becoming and say, yes, progress, I see this now. But without clarity, we don't really have the insight of seeing where we are in the steps along the way and saying, yes, I'm moving towards this destiny with some grace, with purpose, with dedication. This reorganization of energy, this is happening. This refinement of clarity and purpose, this is happening at the same time. Renewed focus and a rededication, a recommitment to the service and the well-being of all. This is all happening too. This is the balance. This is the balance that brings integration. And ascension is simply not possible without it, without that balance, without finding that kind of sweet spot, that fulcrum point. So, blessings and strength and stillness in so much love and peace for you all. I'm going to continue to kind of riff on this over the next 2 months as we close out this year of 2019 and welcome in the major pivot year of 2020. There's a lot of room for me to expand on what I talked about here today, it's just the tip of the iceberg. So each weekly energy check-in, I'll be bringing more information in and up for you about all this stuff. So I want to wish you all love and peace. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.